Welcome to the Fluent Bit Office Hours number 82. My name is Eric Chabel. Eduardo is going to probably drop in a few minutes, who normally hosts this and who leads the project. So feel free to pop your questions into the chat while we continue on here and begin with thanking our sponsor, Chronosphere, for sponsoring the Fluent Bit community here. I like to do that every week. And the introduction slide here, in case you weren't sure exactly who he was, this is Eduardo. Normally he runs these things. So I left this slide in here so you know where to find him. But I'm going to be leading the show today. And who am I? My name's Eric Chabel. I'm one of the maintainers as of recently, working quite a bit, if you paid attention at all, on some of the YAML stuff we've been doing in the docs to update it to the standard set of the classic configuration. I've been around quite a while in the open source communities. Go ahead and look me up online. You'll get some links to me that we're going to handle. Don't worry about it. So what is this office hours we're doing? This is a bit of a change from our bi-weekly normal meetups. What we're trying to do is have a space to connect with maintainers, and you see a few of them dropped in. You see Lakaros is here right now. Oh, Tomas is here too. Welcome. We're going to be focusing on knowledge sharing. So every week we're going to try, or every 2 weeks, we're going to try to have something interesting to share, like demos, best practices, walking through how to use it, kind of keeping an eye on the community and the questions being asked. For example, if you've looked in the meetup site for a bit, you'll see that we have an office hours in the next 2 weeks that Lakaros is going to talk about multi-line parsing. Some of the things we've been seeing in the community, there's a lot of questions asked. It's also an open Q&A, so feel free to ask anything you like. Chat. I see we have one question here from somebody about a PR. We'll go ahead and get to that as we get towards the end of this, or when Eduardo drops in, or if Lakaros wants to chat, if we can do that. So there's going to be a little bit of a also, if you have any questions about how to contribute and things like that, we're more than happy to help with that. And it's still open for follow-ups on PR. Okay. So what's in this office hours? You can participate as an agenda doc where you can put we'll keep notes of what we talked about, what happened. Bring your use cases ahead of time and put them in there, and we'll talk about them. Bring main points if you'd like to, that doc. It's all linked in the invite. Registered for the office hours and feel free to volunteer to present something. We're happy to have anybody. That's what I'm doing this week. And if there's anything new coming and stuff like that, tips and tricks. Now, Fluent Bit has been presented quite a bit by in the last several office hours, and for that by all of us. Anytime you see any videos and stuff, we're talking about how you get multiple sources, multiple destinations, lightweight environment, being able to take all these various input sources from process them on the way to an output source. So I won't go into great detail into this, because what we want to get into is what's going to be happening this week. This is something that hasn't really been touched on too much that I've seen when I've attended these. But going back to the beginnings of how to get started with this Fluent Bit experience. And I think 2 office hours ago, Eduardo went through building it from source and giving you an idea of what's in the source code and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go back and do how to install it that way. I'm not installation container, but we'll assume you've done that from the workshop. So you can look at that yourself. We're going to start exploring our first pipeline. And this is all part of a workshop that you can follow along on. I'll leave this up here for just a second. Take that short link there and jump over to it. Follow along. What I'm going to do is drop out of this and go over to this page. And this is the main workshop collection we have, where we basically have all the stuff here. But we're going to be focusing on the Fluent Bit workshop. Been updated to the most recent version until yesterday when they were 4.04. So we're a smidge behind that. But if you do M on the keyboard, you'll see the menu on the side and all the various labs See here on the left side, we have a introduction to Fluent Bit if you want to watch that. Or discover installing Fluent Bit, whether you want to do it from source or from container image. In this workshop, we cover everything in container, Podman, an open source version of the OCI initiative to handle containers. But you can use Docker, it's analog. And then number 3 here is exploring our first pipeline. Looks like. And you're going to see me jump between this and an IED where we'll do some configuring a little bit and run through your first pipeline. Each one of these labs has the same structure where you have an introduction to what's going to happen. You're going to see the lab goal is to walk you through the first, Fluent Bit installation pipelines here. Very simple input-out phases, walking what that looks like, routing to a single destination. They're going to refine that and includes an output of several destinations. And the third one that configures a filtering phase to move unused data from our something I like to put into these things is that you can jump to, say you're an architect looking at what this stuff does and how it works, and you have no time to sit here and work on it. Provide in the configuration records lab, completed configuration, completed lab. You can go look at how how those files look. So the first pipelines that we're going to do here, we're going to look at the configuration setup. So you've installed it if you've done the lab 2. Different source are going to cover both as we go through this. See each one of these pipelines run both from source. And to do that, we need to go back and remember that the phases that make up a pipe, the input phase, the parsing phase, routing to various topics. So to get started here, you can create a workshop directory where you put your Fluent Bit stuff in. You're going to want to have a Fluent Bit configuration file. We call it the workshop Fluent Bit demo. If you look over here, I've used on the left side here, Fluent Bit install demo project already. You can see that in the target directory, the source install has already been done. Do the container stuff. See, there's some various support directories, includes all those configurations I talked about. I've taken at the top level and see here at the bottom, workshop Fluent Bit YAML file. Looking at here at the top, open. This is the basic layout that we're going to be working out of, and I'll be running on this terminal from source and from contain. The source has been linked to symlink, and I've also concluded the build file at this level. We'll cover that. Workshop, ready to go. And the first thing you see here is we're going to set up a very simple configuration, some inputs that are generating some dummy messages. And what's nice about this setup is you can just cut and paste all this directly into your IED, which is what I've done here. Next one you're going to see here, explanation to break down what that configuration file looks like. Input dummy documentation has been linked, so look at that. Just this last week, I updated all that, so it includes all these YAML examples, along with the classic configurations. Everything I'm doing here is in small configuration style. You see that this plugin generates basically fake events, set in or tag them. We can assign anything we'd like to the tag. And the dummy is where the exact message is at. In our case, you see 2 different plugins. The first one here, generating info level chunk message, log message. Got a color in it called yellow. And this second one, he's generating an error message, tagging with workshop error. Got an error and its color is red. All that is explained to you here, step by step. Then we add an output. Also, again, cut and paste out of here into the configuration file here. Going to run this. So what we have here is a standard output, which means we're going to go straight to these matter, but for that. And then the format's going to be in JSON. We go down here at the bottom. We're going to run Fluent Bit, give it a config file. Watch what happens. Bigger. See the lovely Fluent Bit 4.03 has been set up here. See it kicking off, and you see it generating the messages, alternating first input, second. Pretty straightforward, right? And just to be sure, I Control C out of it to stop it. That's what it told you to do here. Then you can see you get an example of what you should see on your own console. Try to make this as complete as possible, Now, you see that we've done the source base, and you saw every single one of these steps had source to take. Did the source install. That's what you can skip that if you're just doing containers. And come to this part here where you have to cut and paste this into a build file. Basically calling and collecting container, an image. For me at the time, latest Fluent Bit image 4.03. We're going to copy our local configuration file into that image, kick it off, starting. Now, Podman, you need to start a machine. I think I haven't started anything yet. This is just a virtual machine to run all your containers in. I'm working on a Mac OS, so that's for this. Go back here and see what the next step is. Build this. Giving it a version number and handing it the build file, and that shows you the output you should see. We're tagging it with Workshop Fluent Bit version 1 because as you work through this entire thing, you're going to do 12 or 13 different containers. So I keep raising the number by one. Just see here that he's built it, he's put it in there. You can use your container stuff to go check. Going to trust it on to running it. Run it. And you notice this is a bit of a funky command where you got remove and all this kind of stuff. I'm kind of lazy, and it makes it easy and causes less problems if every time you run a container, name it something, access it. Tooling. But when you stop, want to rerun it again, you have to first remove the same process through here. So I put the flag in there to remove the image automatically as soon as you be aware of that. We will run this container image, get the same thing. Yellow, red, version 4.3. It looks really similar to what this is all running in a container. Control C out of that, as I mentioned. And you see the same output, doesn't have the nice color. So let's take a closer look at this. We're going to walk through it step by step. Basically, in Lab 1, we walked through detailed step by step of what these things were, but now you have an example configuration to tie to those things. So you see here at the input section of your pipeline, we have a dummy thing that's going to go through here. It generates 2 events every second. When we get to the parser section, this has to do with what it's doing internally to turn that into a parsed JSON format. Not going to do anything with the parsers until we get to the more advanced stuff. The filter phase, we will touch on, I think, in the third pipeline here. But at this point in time, an example of something that's being filtered, your output, you're matching against star, which is regular expression, everything that's coming through the pipeline. You're going to have the way to use filter plugins and filter components. Buffering in the pipeline is by default done in memory. I have 2 labs in this workshop later, I think 5 and 6, that take you through what happens when you flood the memory too much and you start dropping stuff. Back pressure. We'll deal with that later, so I'm not going to do anything. A way to turn various options and use different buffer options. Then our first pipeline, excuse me, the routing part is based on tag, right? Generally speaking, tagging your messages. back here. Here we tagged workshop info and workshop error, so we could filter this matching here into match workshop error and run our configuration. We'll see that we only get error messages. Just to give you an idea how that works with that build. Do just the info. Get just the info messages, I would hope. Any regular expression you want to put in there, you can star some of this stuff. Keep it in line with what we're doing in the actual documented workshop. In this case, we're choosing all tags, all things that come. Then we get to the output section. The output's pretty straightforward here. We're doing standard out, sort of like a debug mode where it just dumps it to the console. You can imagine that you could output to a second destination, a third destination, multiple output bugs. Make multiple entries. Say we wanted to send all the error messages to a file. We want to send all the other messages to SREs. And we want to send everything else just for log record to something else. And why not celebrate completing your first pipeline? Because you just did. Everything works. So you should be happy with yourself. It's your very first pipeline. But we're not done. So now let's add some routing for new outputs. We want to use a new plugin called File. Have this route all events that are tagged info to a certain log file. Do that. No issue. Put it where you want, for as far as I care. We're also going to configure another section to route all events to the error tag, to a different file. See how that works. See, what we're going to do is add a couple of new entries here. Info and error. Paste those and we'll add those in here. Want to type it all out ourselves. See, there's a red line in it. Be very careful because the indentation is important. Your YAML. Using an IDE kind of prevents you from it. So you see here we're using the file output plugin, which needs a file location. We're going to do it in the directory. I'm going to do the other one also. Going to open terminal. To tail all that stuff. Turn it on. We'll run our Fluent Bit configuration as you see up there. Bigger. You see it's still doing each thing because we have standard out and we started. We're taking all tags, we're putting it here and making it JSON. Now let's go over here and file 10 info. You see only the info messages are being put in here. We look over here at error message. Only error messages should be done. See, it's working like a charm. Plugins are working correct. See, when you stop it, I'm now stopping adding stuff in. Okay. And I just walked you through that already. So what we did is we kicked it off. You see the standard output here. Here you see an example of what you see. This is all in the source, local on my own machine. Now we're going to do it in a container. That's a little bit tricky. See why in a little bit done with this. So first thing we're going to have to do is rebuild our container, and you notice that it's got clear this. building a new tagged image called Workshop Fluent Bit version 2. First modification variation to the build file. Chugging away it goes. And then I'm going to run it. See something kind of curious going on here. See that we still have that remove thing, so when we stop it, it's going to remove that container image. We're still calling it Fluent Bit FB. But now we have volumes that we're going to mount. We're going to mount right here at the spot where I'm running this container, where I'm launching it, in that directory in my IDE. I'm going to mount the temp directory from the container. And I do that so that we don't have to go looking for the output files. So where a local machine, it was on /temp workshop-error. This is going to be in the container at /temp workshop-error. But that's now going to get remounted to my local thing. So I should see it pop up right here. Right? Let's see what happens. There, workshop error, workshop input. Open those up. Local. Doing exactly what we thought, but it's not happening on my local machine. So with that, we'll Control C out of it, kill it. Showing you the output, standard out, because we were copying that from the container locally. You see here now, you're going to be looking right there in the directory where I started it. That's your second pipeline. How about that? Getting to be an expert here. So now let's add in filtering. Where one of the phases was filter. We're going to add this in, get input things to drop key value pair. So to do that, we're going to add a new filter. It's called modify. See here in the inputs, we have an enter that has a log entry error message. And we're going to put a filter in to modify everything. Drop. Look for the key value of color. Move it. The red should disappear. Same thing will probably happen. The other one, right? Best way to find out what it does is to try it. Filters goes here. Make sure we get. We're using a modify filter. We're going to do move color. See, when I get out, it's already selected the color key. So I expect the yellow color key and the red color key. Go back here. He's going to tell us, okay, let's go in the source and kick it off. Let's see what. The output. Now we see we're up here. We had color red, color yellow previously. Have no color. That's the level. Now modified by removing some. Let's see if our workshop says we did it right. Color is gone. And because we still have the files going, we can check that too. Let's go over here and see what happened running it in here. Look. Still filtering it to new output destination. With no color, either one of them. Our file output is still working. Did not remove that. All we did was add a filter to remove the color, so the color is no longer showing up on standard out. It's no longer showing up in. So now the question is going to be, let's do it in a container. It's our third pipeline. See version 3 in our build. We have to build the container image because let's create a new one basically. Have a new configuration file. And we're going to again mount local thing, see what's happening inside of our error log. Here locally, we see on our console that the colors are gone. Look in the error log. Look, container mounted. These volumes, both the info and the error log do not have color. Control C, kill that, and that means it removes the container image. Inputs, filters, outputs. Saw the output on our console. We saw the output in the files. Again, also just output locally directory where we're at. This completes our third pipe. Way to go, guys. Now let's conditionally modify events instead of just removing stuff. Modify. In this case, we're looking for events with levels set to error. In those cases, we'll have the filter remove the key level. Set a new key to note that that workshop is right. An error message on a workshop, place that thing. Put that. See, in the filter section, we still have the color removal. We're going to add this. See here that we're matching everything. We're going to modify because we want to check every single message. We're going to look for addition. Key value equals level, error. We're going to remove level, and we're going to add key value pair. Key is workshop status, and the value is broken. Basically, we're removing the level and replacing it with workshop status. I don't think you do either. It is as easy as possible. Here we run this inline. Now we see nothing has changed when it's an info message, level info. Our level error has now turned into workshop status broken. And it should also be showing up in our files because we didn't change any of our output filters. Still have the file thing right. Broken ones, workshop status broken, but the other one is still level info. Pretty straightforward. Stop that. See what we got here. See if it looks like what we expected. I kind of walked you through this already where we talk about what the plugin is used, how it's matching all events. Condition is met, which is in this case, it's looking for a key value that it has equal to what I'm going to give it. Give it the level and tell it that. And you see here the highlighted messages where they changed. You can idea in the output. That means you've completed the really straightforward, right? And this time I left it to you. If you want to run this one in the container, you can do. So you now have a basic understanding of how to build a simple telemetry pipeline. You spent time creating did a few adjustments to these pipelines. So much more to do. So every lab always ends with the last thing you did. It shows you what condition you should be in and where you should be at. It gives you some links to look at and some information in case you're interested in, including one of the important things at the bottom there, report an issue if there's anything you don't understand. something not clear or whatever that you struggle with, let me know and I'll expand it and fix it. If you want to contact me, this is how you can find me. Straightforward. All my socials. And then it's on to the next workshop. It's exploring more pipelines. So we're going to save for one of the upcoming office hours. So keep an eye out for that. Bring it back to here.
Can I ask questions not related to the workshop?
Sure, you may. Go ahead.
So I have a question. Maybe this was discussed before. I'm new to Fluent Bit, so I apologize. So if the main line moved on and my PR is out of date, what's the recommended way to bring it up to date? Do I create a merge commit to bring it up to date, or do I rebase and squash everything? So there is only one commit with my changes.
Hi, this is Eduardo, and thanks for following up on this. And we apologize for the delay. I think that if your changes just touch the latest version of that plugin, I think that the PR is fine. However, if the PR is touching other components or it gets more complexity, we always recommend to rebase with PR on top of Git master first before we can merge it, because we don't do merges. We just do rebases.
Okay. So currently my PR contains a few merges. So should I just update it yet again and just rebase everything? And
oh yeah, on that, if you already have some merges, what I would recommend is to just get a fresh copy of the master, create a branch from that, and then apply your changes on top of the latest version. So even that will be easier for us to get it in.
Sure. So should I create a new PR or should I continue working on the same PR?
Yeah, it can be the same PR, because what I'm going to do is pretty much to update and do a force update on that branch.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if the force updates are okay in this case.
Yeah, I think that if you just get to the latest version and put your changes on top of that, then we can do the review easily. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If that's it, then we'll call it a day, and I'll see you next time at the office hours number 83 with Lacados.